My name is Mary Wade, and this is my story. I have a beautiful 11-year-old daughter named Casey. I would say I'm a good mom. I've had my ups and downs, but I'm only human. I married Casey's father in 1983. John was a good guy, a little rough around the edges, but I loved him anyways. We married shortly after he was released from federal prison for second-degree murder of his first wife. I have 3 children from a previous marriage. My oldest daughter, Carla, she was never a fan of John. She said that he was a racist, among other things. It took a while, but I finally understood that he wasn't the man that I thought he was. So, in 1989, I sought a divorce from John. It took 4 years, but I finally won custody of my daughter. John was to pay $150 in child support each month. I met someone new in 1994, and things were going great. I finally figured out what I had been struggling with and who I really was. John got remarried as well, and I couldn't have been happier for him. But in 1995, I decided to take John back to court. I needed an increase in child support, and $150 just wasn't enough. So that's when things took a turn for the worse. In typical John fashion, he caused a problem. John filed for complete custody of Casey, and he won. I lost custody to my daughter in 1995. So what was the big deal? How and why could I lose custody of my daughter to a convicted felon? I'll tell you why. It's because I'm a lesbian. Yep, I'm a lesbian, and that's how I lost my daughter. My sexual orientation had never been a previous issue between John and I. But his new wife and he decided that they didn't want Casey to be raised in a lesbian household. John was aware that I had had same-sex relationships before, but it had never been an issue. He also knew that I had a partner, and he even helped me move into her house. The hearing was agonizing. It took 2 hours to figure out this mess, and I was even more devastated by the ruling. I always defined myself by my children, because they're my world. The judge declared that my daughter should live in a non-lesbian world, because it would be what would be best for her, to live in a world without me. When I lost Casey, I called the National Center for Lesbian Rights to see if they could help me out, make a recommendation, or just do anything to get me out of this situation. It was a common story of lesbian mothers, up until I told them the part where John had murdered his first wife. And here's the kicker I forgot to mention. John murdered his first wife in a custody rage over their daughter. He didn't even try to deny it. He pleaded guilty to murder. The National Center for Lesbian Rights got back to me. They said it wasn't just a legal injustice, but a human injustice. It was clear that I was a good person and a devoted parent. I had raised 3 other kids, hadn't I? They turned out all right. The ruling really hit me hard. There was no gray area. The ruling was based on homophobia, and the ignorance of others is what has left my daughter in the hands of her father, a convicted murderer.
We got called into the principal's office today at Lily's school. She had a little incident with another kindergartner, so both sets of parents were called in to have a little meeting. And as soon as they walked through the door, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. Lesbians. We crossed the wrong moms. While often lumped together, gay men and lesbians have less in common than one might think. Like in the Venn diagram of sexual identity. You have gay men, and then you have straight men. Both the same gender. Then you have gay men and straight women, both attracted to the same gender. But gay men and lesbians? Nothing. So during the meeting, we tried to reason with them. We both have the instinct to protect our children. But things got a little heated. One of the lesbians called me a Sally, and Cam here couldn't resist but have a snarly remark back to her. So the principal offered us a suggestion. A play date. The play date went fine. Lily and Connor got along great, and issues were resolved. It was like it never happened. And we got a chance to spend some time with the lesbians as well.
It was great because we need to support each other. We're the only same-sex parents in the class.
We should definitely be supporting one another because we have so much in common.
We really did all come together, though, once the kids accidentally locked themselves in Lily's room.
We all panicked.
4 protective parents trying to pick a lock into a 5-year-old's room can lead to some pretty high tension.
They got upset because my sarcasm came out. But what can I say? It's my gay coping mechanism.
Then one of the moms suggested that she was going to break down the door to get to our children.
She's a general contractor and good with that type of stuff.
It turns out that they just didn't want the playdate to end. If you ask me, sometimes we get so hung up on our differences that we forget about the one thing we have in common.
When it comes to the safety and well-being of our children,
we're all a little bit nuts.
I guard them with my life.